Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So when it comes to Mikey Garcia, I have good news and I have bad news. What do you guys want to hear first? Let's go ahead and just start with the good news. First off, I want to say congratulations to Mikey Garcia for moving up in weight and knocking out a champion who had never been knocked out before previously. Garcia obviously carried his power to the higher weight class. He looked stronger than the naturally bigger super featherweight Roman Rocky Martinez. Garcia also showed a great jab, a real stiff jab. Okay? Garcia is a very good boxer from the outside. Now let's go ahead and get into the bad news. Now, even though Garcia did not show as many flaws as Nonito Donaire did, there are definitely some flaws that I'm starting to see on a regular basis when it comes to a Mikey Garcia performance. I'm starting to catch myself saying this more and more often when I criticize fighters after their performances. So now I'm starting to notice it really takes a special fighter to be able to fight in the inside and in the outside as well. If you go back to Mikey Garcia's performance against Orlando Salido, despite the fact that Garcia was constantly knocking Salido down, surprisingly enough, it seemed to me that as that fight went on, Orlando Salido, he was starting to close the gap in that fight. He's an inside fighter, and he was always constantly trying to get on the inside, or he was constantly trying to get in the inside with Garcia. Every time Salido got in the inside, Garcia looked extremely uncomfortable. He would tie up Salido. He would move away very quickly. He was doing a lot of moving in that Orlando Salido fight. And not subtle movements like a Floyd Mayweather. It was complete movement. It was that type of Amir Khan moving away from Lamont Peterson. That type of De La Hoya moving away from Tito Trinidad. It was that type of moving. All right? He was very uncomfortable, it seemed, fighting against a pressure fighter who wanted to get into the inside. All right? Like I said before, I'm starting to notice it really takes a special fighter to be able to do both, fighting the inside and the outside. All right? Special fighters like Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, Tim Bradley, Guillermo Rigo. These are fighters that can alternate fighting in the inside or the outside, and they're comfortable either way. Mikey Garcia is not comfortable fighting in the inside. All right? And I know some Mikey Garcia fans are going to be like, so what? I mean, he does good fighting in the outside. Why should he even take a chance and fight in the inside? Well, the problem is, eventually he's going to fight against a very quick pressure fighter that fights in the inside. And if he has no answers to fight in the inside and he's forced to fight an inside fight, he is most likely going to be at a huge disadvantage. Okay, now let's look at this Martinez versus Garcia fight. Martinez is normally an inside fighter. Martinez is normally a volume puncher who fights in the inside. Okay, he slowly tries to break his opponent down, constantly getting in the inside and putting pressure on you. But in this fight, at least 90% of the fight, Martinez was trying to fight Garcia at a distance, which was definitely his downfall. And we do have to attribute a lot of that to Mikey Garcia for taking away Martinez's confidence and making him reluctant to try to fight in the inside. All right? But what I did notice is the couple of times that Martinez went into the inside, once again, Garcia really had no answers. If you go back and you watch, I believe it was the end of the third round or the second round, Martinez, he finished the round off with a flurry. He got in the inside, and all Garcia did in response is he just doubled over and he just blocked like a 9-10 punch combination that Martinez threw. Now, this happened sporadically throughout the fight, where every now and then Martinez would amass enough confidence to get in the inside and fight his own type of fight. So the problem for Garcia is eventually you're going to have fighters that won't be so easily discouraged as Martinez obviously was. I think that this featherweight division is very competitive, and I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is gonna hurt a lot of people's feelings, but I don't see Mikey Garcia lasting very long. At least when it comes to remaining undefeated, if he continues to fight the toughest competition, he gets hit too easy. He doesn't have the best defense. Like I said, he's uncomfortable in certain situations, and these are things that are going to be his downfall. I think fighters like Javier Fortuna, Gary Russell Jr., and a couple other fighters are going to really possess a lot of problems for Mikey Garcia in the future. All right? So, this was a decent win for Mikey Garcia, but he needs to work on some things, and I don't really know if he will be able to improve on these things because he's been boxing forever already, and he hasn't changed. He hasn't adjusted, I should say, yet. Mikey Garcia has always reminded me of another fighter that was a younger brother in a boxing family, and when he was undefeated, and that's Julio Diaz. Julio Diaz, when he was undefeated, Julio Diaz, he really looked good. All right, and as far as it goes with me, I think it was like this for everyone, but this was around the time where social media wasn't as big as it is now. So we didn't hear all the praises on the internet, and you didn't get as much free exposure as you get today with all of the blogs, the internet, YouTube, etc., etc. So Mikey Garcia has always reminded me of a Julio Diaz. His story is very similar. Like I said, they both come from a big boxing family, and they were both at one point undefeated and looked like they were the future of the sport. Like I said, don't get me wrong, guys. Mikey Garcia is a good fighter, okay? And if he fights the right opponents, he can continue to win a couple more fights. But if he keeps stepping up in competition, I see him having a lot of problems with quick, consistent punchers that don't get discouraged so easily. When Martinez attacked first, it seemed a lot of times like Garcia didn't really have a whole lot of answers. And once again, that was one of the many downfalls for Martinez, is he was waiting. And he was fighting Garcia at a distance that would put him right in position to get hit with Garcia's best shots, which is his long-range jab and right hand. Like I said before, a more advanced fighter is probably going to cut that distance and get into a position that Garcia is not comfortable with. One thing that I will say Garcia and Donaire have in common, outside of them both working with Robert Garcia, trainer, coach, is both of them have that type of power that can bail them out of a bad situation. Okay? They both have that going for them. But as they move up in weight, they start to slowly lose that power advantage, because then they start to fight fighters that are naturally bigger, and they have natural power as well. Eventually it's going to get to the point where a fighter like Garcia is going to possibly fight someone who may even be stronger than he is, and he no longer has that power advantage. So, that's what I want to see. I want to see how he deals with a fighter who has the same type of power that he has and does not have a lack of confidence. So just keep in mind, guys, when it comes to Floyd Mayweather is often fighting a fighter who has far more power than he does himself. Okay? We have yet to see a fighter like Garcia or even Donaire fight a guy who has the exact same power that they have, let alone someone who hits harder than they do. Now, Donaire, he fought against Rigo, who was a strong power puncher, but the problem is Rigo was almost 20 pounds smaller than Donaire the night of the fight. So basically, to really see what these fighters are made of, we have to see them being put in that position that Mayweather is often put in. at a disadvantage with power. Or I wouldn't even say at a disadvantage. Even if it's at the same level, the power. I just want to see how these fighters are going to adjust, dealing with a situation that they've never dealt with before. Okay? So there you have it. And this is basically how I seen the Garcia-Martinez fight. Martinez didn't do as bad as Nonito Donaire, but he also didn't do as good as an elite fighter that I think should have showed less flaws. Okay, so we'll see what happens in the future. But that's all I got on this one, guys. I'm on to the next one.